Well, welcome to our seminar tonight, to our webinar tonight, IELTS on Computer, the Benefits of Digital Assessment. With us tonight is, first of all, myself. My name is Pete Cathan. I'm head of this organization here, Swiss Exams. We will have Ron Gary from the Cambridge Institute in Basel present with us as well. And that last but not least is Tanya from Cambridge University Press, the ELT advisor for Switzerland, Germany, and Austria, who will also give you some information about material. The agenda, so the first part will be my part. I will try to keep it short, but I still need to give you some information so you get it for the people that have not yet had experiences with computer-based testing, give you some information about what it's all about and what it does and so on. And we'll talk about IELTS in general a little bit, and IELTS on the computer, a few words on the services, and then at the end I'll give you just my recommendation based on my experience. So the second part will be done by Ron and Tanya. So it's more for teachers to see, to give teachers some insight into how to teach for a computer-based exam. We will be looking at some practice tools and also working materials. If there are questions, you can put them into the chat. Some of our staff are here as well. Either they will be able to answer them or we will be able to answer them. If not, we will, of course, record them and then also get back to you later on with answers. I don't want to miss the opportunity to just quickly introduce part of the marketing team and the very people that create these and organize these events, which I very much appreciate. So Sina, who's our manager, the head of the department, and then Sarah, our event coordinator, who invited you. She is the person that puts the presentations together and invites the people, organize everything. I greatly appreciate that. And last but not least, Eva Kabosh, also from the marketing team, who's our sales coordinator, the very person you would be potentially speaking to if you have any interest in what we have to offer. Quickly to Swiss Exams. I see people in the chat that have been working with us for a long time, and they, of course, know all of this, but for the ones that don't, just quickly, we're an organization have over the years specialized in exam management. So what we do is basically organize exams. Full stop. We have specialized in computer-based exams because we've been doing this for a very, very long time. The first exams, which were Cambridge exams, we piloted in 2006. So we have long-term experience with CB exams. And we represent a number of international exam boards for which we do exams, not only in languages, but others as well. We also engage more and more in exam preparation. These are some projects that will be coming in 2023, but you will be notified about them. And for a long time, we've been doing this teacher training, these seminars for the past 20, 25 years. We've been doing loads of seminars, free seminars and paid seminars for teachers. The organization was founded some 33 years ago. We service over 800 schools. In that time, I think we did close to 200,000 exams in Switzerland, and currently we employ over 250 people, the majority of them being supervisors, invigilators, and so on. So our services, as mentioned, the schools and the teachers and as well as the students are really at the core of the people we want to serve. I don't want to go into much detail. We have various systems and support mechanisms in order to support students, teachers, and schools. We operate in the whole country. We started off in one part, but in recent years, we've expanded to all parts, from the Engadine all the way to Geneva. We work with preparation center partners, so with organizations that we have been working with for a long time. We of course have closer relationships and do our best to even give them an above level service. Last but not least, we have an online shop. So we also try to provide books and materials make them accessible to our clients via an online shop. So you're very welcome to check that out as well when you have some time. Quickly, our headquarters is in Winterthur, the canton of Zurich. But like I said, we run exams all over the country in 9 locations. I will go into more detail at the end. There are so many more venues than just computer-based across the country. It is our goal to basically offer a test or a solution to every candidate every month, more than once a month, within less than 1 hour travel from anywhere in Switzerland. I know that does not quite yet apply to the canton of Ticino, but in all other areas, we are very close to the client. So going into IELTS, well, you may know that in very general terms, IELTS is a test that people would do to study or work or live abroad. It should actually open gateways for these undertakings, but it's also done to prove your own skills. IELTS is recognized by over 11,000 educational institutions, employers, governments, and professional bodies around the world. There are some 1,600 centers globally, locations where IELTS can be taken in over 140 countries. And we as Swiss Exams are called what is called an independent test center, which means at the moment we're the only ones for the British Council servicing IELTS in the whole of Switzerland. We have a very good relationship to the British Council, and we're very proud to be representing IELTS for them in the country. As you may know, IELTS is a 4-skill test. So as you know that from Cambridge exams and various other exams, it's language exams. It tests the listening skills, the reading, the writing, and the speaking, of course. Quickly to the times, the modules, the listening modules is 30 minutes. The reading modules are 60. The 2 versions between academic and general, I will go into more detail in a moment. They both, it's a 60-minute test. However, the content is a bit different. Same goes for the writing part of the paper. It's also 60-minute, and the content is somewhat different for the academic and the general. Speaking test is between 11 and 14 minutes, and they're in individual interviews. And I'll say it here, I'll probably repeat myself further down. For the computer-based test, it's still a live interview with humans. That's one of the questions we get asked the most. In terms of delivery, like I just mentioned before, there are 3 versions. So the general training, the academic, and IELTS for You KVI. I will go into detail in a moment. The tests are graded on the same day. The listening, the tests are graded the same way. There's no difference. Listening, reading, and writing are done on the same day. Usually, we also organize the speaking test on the same day in Switzerland as well. As I mentioned before, the speaking test is a still in-person test, so with live people in a live place, just so that you know. For the general training, the purpose that IELTS tells us is it's a test to study or train below degree level. Actually, I would even argue it's probably also above degree level, but that's what they generally state. Work or undertake work-related training in an English-speaking country. So if you want to go abroad to work or do further training in an English-speaking country, that's one of the purposes IELTS general training would be used for, or to immigrate to an English-speaking country. Also for job purposes abroad, of course, in English-speaking countries, that's also one of the purposes. Going to academic, IELTS academic, it's of course specifically focused for undergraduate and postgraduate level anywhere in the world. It's not necessarily only for English-speaking countries, but also countries with programs in English. It's used for student visas in the UK, going into the UK particularly. And again, also the academic can be used for English-speaking country, for a professional organization if you want to work abroad. UKVI. You may have heard about this or not. So generally explained, it's the same test, but on a much higher level of security. Now, I want to really say here, the normal IELTS is already on a very high level of security, but of course, for government approved purposes, for visa applications in the UK, they even require even higher level of security. So if you're looking for the ultimate secure test, well, that would be for you. It's the same content, it's the same scoring, it's the same difficulty level. It really differs just in the level of security. The difference is that UKVI are taken at UKVI approved test centers, of which we have locations, and it's approved by the UK Home Office. And the exam is video recorded for the UK Home Office. As you can see, a very high level of security, which of course for visa purposes, migration purposes, this is very, very important. So IELTS on the computer. It's the same IELTS, as you know. I'll get into that in a minute. There's just a lot more choice and some more conveniences, as we will be discussing in a minute. Again, reading, listening, writing is on the computer, and the speaking test is in person. So the results, the faster results is one main aspect of it, but not only. So British Council slide here. Again, why the choice of test dates and locations? I mentioned them before. The results are much quicker. They will be released within 3 to 5 days, which is actually quite significant. And the later registration, so their registration deadlines are much closer to the test date. So the whole turnaround from registration to result is much shorter than on paper. So now, I found a video online which I want to share with you. You may have seen it. It's about 5 minutes long, but the two people actually, the two people in the video actually really nicely and in a bit of an entertaining way explain the 10 things that you need to know. And so I decided for this purpose, I'll play that video. I won't play the full video. I will start when they start to do the advertisement for their organization. I will stop it. But I found that a very nice way, the way it's portrayed.
Hi, I'm Alex.
And I'm Jay.
We took the computer-delivered IELTS, and there are 10 things we want you to know.
Yes, indeed. Number 1, you get a pen and paper. Alex, did you know that you get a pen and paper if you take not to take home? It's not a complimentary thing, but during the test you do get a pencil and a piece of paper.
Did you use it?
I used it just for writing. Did you?
Yeah, actually I used it in reading, listening and writing. I always like to draw and scribble.
Oh, fair enough. And they take it after each section, so it gets replaced. So you can't copy vocabulary and use it in your essay from the reading section, for example.
Bad luck. Number 2, there is a suite of on-screen tools.
Is there? I didn't use it.
That's a shame, because they're really handy actually. You can make the text bigger or smaller. You can change the background of the text. Some people have trouble reading on a bright white screen. You can make it off-white or yellow or blue. You can take notes on the screen. I didn't use that. And the best thing is you can highlight on the screen.
Okay, yeah. Actually, the only thing I did was make the text medium size. That was it. Apart from that, I didn't use it, but maybe it's helpful.
Highlight function. Okay. Try it on our mock test.
Ooh.
It's a life changer.
Is our mock test identical to the IELTS one?
Yeah.
Oh, what about that? Number 3, you can move around within sections.
So when I'm in the listening test, can I skip ahead and look at section 4?
Yep.
And when I'm in the writing test, can I move between task 1, task 2?
Yep, absolutely. Can you move between reading and writing?
No.
No.
Number 4, no need to count words.
Alex, when you take the paper-based IELTS, you have to count every single word, or you have to multiply how many on average by this, and it takes about 3 minutes to count all your words. Tell me
Such a
about
waste.
the blessing of the computer-based IELTS test.
It counts your words.
It counts your words. Number 5, there's a timer on the screen.
So in the test, you can't wear a watch.
Right.
And sometimes in the paper-based test, the clock is behind you.
Yeah.
In the computer test,
It's right in front of you.
number 6, you don't get 10 extra minutes in listening, but you don't need it.
Yeah.
There are little breaks all throughout the listening test, 30 seconds here, a minute here. They have 2 minutes at the end, and that's more than enough. Your answers go straight into the computer, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, because on the paper-based test, you have to you get 10 minutes to transfer from from the question sheet to the answer sheet. It's a total pain, by the way.
And you need that 10 minutes.
And you do, but in the computer-based test, job done. Number 7, all capitals. No. So please don't write your essay and your task 1 all in capital letters, because what happens actually? You just lose
It's just
marks.
it's considered a punctuation problem.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, on the paper-based test, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, and in fact, it's advised to write all in capitals if you have terrible handwriting, but that is not the case on the computer. It's the typing, so follow capitalization conventions.
Yes. Shift letter makes it big.
Number 8, you get headphones. Not just handy for the listening test, you should leave them on the whole time. They can block out the noisy people next to you.
I agree. You get into your little Zen mode by blocking out everyone else. In fact, I just found the computer-based test to be far better for concentration, actually. Headphones helped, yep, but the whole thing was just more relaxing and better.
Yeah.
Yep.
Agree.
Cool. Number 9, no official break. What we mean by this is, by official break means that if you do need to go to the bathroom, you can't.
Well, you did.
Did I?
Yeah.
Don't tell them that.
You can, but of course don't go
Between
in the
sections.
Yeah, don't go in the listening test because
absolutely
the
not.
computer doesn't stop. But you can go in the reading or in the writing. But I think they stop you leaving the room when there's about 5 minutes to go. So
Yeah, so if you need to go, just hold on.
dodging too much water on test day. Number 10, the speaking test is not on the computer.
How do they possibly do the speaking if it's not on the computer using a sophisticated computer algorithm?
What?
Oh, person. They use a person?
Yeah, face to face.
Face to
Just like the
face.
paper test.
A human being.
A human being. And you're in a room together having a conversation.
Wow.
And by the way, your speaking and your writing is still marked by a human, even though you're taking the test on the computer.
It is. And I must say, the IELTS people that I've met so far, having done this test 5 times, are all extremely pleasant. You were one once, weren't you?
Yeah, I was all right.
There you go. Check out the E2 language mock test at E2.
Okay, so I found these 2 colleagues doing a really, really good job in very shortly explaining the essence of
Language.com.
Of computer-based IELTS test. So in summary, quickly, what are the benefits really? So again, the 3 to 5 days turnaround of results. There are more test sessions available, so more choice throughout each month. For organizations, there is on-demand test sessions. You would just have to get in touch with us. It's also a matter of the number of candidates. You can register very closely up to the exam. The headphones, the colleague in the video made that really, portrayed that really nicely. The headphones for the listening test is a real blessing at a computer-based test. They're of course provided. The reading and listening sections are auto-marked. I don't think it's a major benefit. That's just the way it is. And it's, of course, it's a very high level of security. Now, again, the test dates is very important. Regular test dates are every month throughout the year in all across Switzerland. For UKVI, just be careful. They're only selected locations because these locations have to be approved by the UK Home Office. So the locations here are shown again, straight across the country. If you have any certain demands, if you have special requests, please get in touch with us. We run our own computer labs in all of these places. So we are quite flexible. So lastly, as we've promised with the invitation here, there is this course, Road to IELTS, and we're not going to go much into I'm not going to go much into detail. If you're interested in having a free license to try, it's a full license that we promised you. Please get in touch with us after the presentation. We will only make that available to people who have actually attended today, not just registered. So our recommendation with IELTS on the computer. I see that we have some people here that have done Cambridge on the computer with us. And it's roughly the same thing. It is just in these days for students, younger students, it's just the right thing to do on the computer. It's just paper-based exams get at, this is somewhat looking at language exams, the thing of the past. It's a bit, especially with IELTS, it's a bit like, like sending a student to a driving test with a 1970 stick shift double clutch car. It may work, and they may have, they may be able to prove their skills, but it just creates unnecessary obstacles. The computer version for IELTS is just a much more convenient way for students to test. Like they mentioned it in the video, the headphones, the word count, the typing, it's just the thing to do these days. So our recommendation clearly is, if you send people to an IELTS exam, please do so. We would highly recommend doing it on the computer. Okay, so much for me. It's very short. I hope I was able to give you all the key information that you need. From what I understand from my staff, we're going to have a 5-minute break, and then Ron will take over from here.
We will have like a 10-minute break.
A 10-minute break. Okay.
Yes,
sorry.
and then
so we'll have a 10-minute.
Ron will take over.
So 10-2, Sarah.
Oh, 55 is better. 55.
But that's fair. That's a fairly long break. You really want to do 55?
Let's do 10-2.
10-2, I would say so.
9-minute break, and then everyone can come together again.
Okay. Again, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. We will try to answer them there, or get back to you if we don't know the answer. Okay. Okay, welcome back. So we're going into the second part of this webinar, and I'm handing over to Ron. Hi, Ron. Welcome, I guess.
Hi.
Ron can introduce himself quickly, and I will clink myself out again. Ron, can I hand over to you?
Yes, thank you, Pete. My name is Ron Gary, and I'm Director of Studies and teacher at the Cambridge Academy in Basel and Bern. And I first would like to thank Pete for that excellent and informative presentation. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is I'll review some of these benefits that was already mentioned for taking IELTS on a computer. And then we'll look into how can we prepare our students for a computer-based IELTS exam. We'll look at things that we can do in the classroom, and also some online resources, okay? I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay. Okay, but first what I'd like to do is get a feeling from everybody about how familiar you are and what your experience has been. So we'll just do a few quick poll questions. Okay, so the first question. Okay. So I have prepared learners for computer-based exams. Okay, just yes or no. Okay, so it seems like 3/4 of you have done this and about 1/4 haven't. Okay, good. Oh, second question. I know what challenges there are in computer-based exams. Okay, just hit yes or no. Okay, good, good. So 60-40. And our last question. I'm confident how to prepare students for computer-based exams. Okay, very good. Okay, good. That gives us all a feeling of where we stand. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is ask for some of your feedback, and please use the chat box. Okay, so what do you like about computer-based exams from what your experiences or from what you have heard? Okay. And what worries you about computer-based exams, or do you have any concerns about it? I would like to try to address that this evening. Okay, okay, that's very interesting. Okay, so now let's look at what kind of challenges your students might have, or what concerns they might have. And I found with my students, I've been teaching IELTS for several years, and actually even for my Cambridge exam students, there's a lot of concerns before the computer-based exam, but afterwards, none of them came to fruition. Because afterwards, when I always meet with the students after they take the exam, as a class usually of one extra class, and then we kind of talk about what it was like, and usually nothing that they were concerned about happened. Right? That everything goes really, really smoothly, and they love computer-based exam. Okay, but beforehand, they might worry about, well, it's not my keyboard. You know, maybe it's going to feel different, or it's going to be a bit of a concern or an obstacle. Maybe clicking noises from other keyboards. And that's where that one really good piece of advice came in, where you can wear the headphones throughout the entire exam. You don't have to only wear it during listening. So if somebody really wants to be able to focus even more, and even though the room is quite quiet, and I've never heard anybody complain about the keyboard clicks, but people can also wear their headphones. So that's a good tip to give your students. Okay, they might think, are these headsets uncomfortable? They're not, they're actually really comfortable. The keyboards and headsets are very high quality. Okay, so perhaps some students might think reading long passages on the screen is challenging. I think for most people, that's not an issue, because I think we spend every day reading long passages on screens, right? Either at school, work, or just in our free time. Sometimes people are a little concerned in advance about scrolling, right? So if you have to scroll up and down for the reading, is that going to be an obstacle? And when I debrief students, nobody has had a problem with that. And not feeling the flow, how to spell a word, perhaps. Maybe some people think when they're writing that somehow the spelling automatically, magically comes out properly. But I think nowadays most people are on keyboards. So I also have never heard of this being a problem of, of by a student. Okay, so what I do want to mention, I just want to reinforce what was said earlier about the benefits of computer-based exam, right? As was said before, the test availability and also faster results really make a big difference, because quite often, as you know, we have students who maybe, they need the exam results by a specific date. And usually they try to take the exam as close to that date as possible, right? So they have more preparation. And to get results back between 3 and 5 days, that's amazing. And that really helps them, as opposed to about 13 days or so if you're doing a paper-based exam. And also what was mentioned earlier about writing, right? I know when I have to write an exam in the past, and I was doing it with pencil and paper, I put so much attention to try to be neat, and it takes away from concentrating on what I'm actually trying to write. And then if I'm not neat, maybe the examiner will have trouble reading my writing. So this will not be an issue. Okay. All right, so now let's look at how can we prepare our students. All right, so one way is going to be in the classroom, and the other way will be online support that I'll give you some websites for. And also the links that I'll be giving you will also email to you. So you don't have to spend time now trying to screen grab or write down these very long links, okay? Okay, so one thing we always think about, so what kind of support is there, right? So this link will bring you to the basic preparation for IELTS website by the British Council, and it'll have so many different things, right? Like what is IELTS? It'll break it down. So it won't just tell you the 4 groups, but it'll go into writing, into great detail. So I highly recommend every teacher to go to the website and read through it first, right? And then we also want the students to do that. Okay. Right, so this is the landing page. Okay. So what kind of things could we do with this website? Right. Of course, we could just email it to our students and say, I highly recommend that you go to this website and spend time learning all about IELTS. And maybe a few students will do that, but if your students are like mine, a lot of them won't. Okay, so what would be really good then is what I would suggest is to do this in the classroom, right? So as a teacher, you can create a quiz. For example, where can you find information about the writing section in the computer-based IELTS, right? So you can have a whole quiz, and then in class, you break your students up into partners or small groups, and then let them try to find the information in class online at this website. Right. And then they can, and then then you share with the whole class and review that together. You can, as a teacher, you can do true and false questions, of course. You can even have the students write quiz questions, either for homework. You can like divide up the topics into different groups and have a certain number of students work on each group and then come in, put them into partners, or if you're working on Zoom, you can put them into breakout groups and then let them quiz each other. And then we can come back together as a whole class. Then if you really want to go into it, you can even have the students for homework prepare mini presentations. Maybe somebody can explain how the writing part of the computer base works, etc. like that. Okay, then another thing is that you can try to support your students using their screens more, which might not be necessary because, I mean, most people are using screens all the time. But for homework, instead of just sending an email with what the homework is, you can send an audio file. Then they get to listen, on their computer or device. You can do the same with in class to suggest to students who are taking notes, try not to use paper and pencil, and also try not to use a iPad with a pencil, and just try to like take your notes on a keyboard, on a computer or whatever device they have. Okay, practice reading on screens. In one way, generally speaking, as I mentioned before, people seem to be almost only reading on screens nowadays, so it's not really an issue. But what you could do is you could take maybe from your course book, like a part 1 reading, scan it, and send it to all the students. So when they come to class, instead of reading from the course book, everybody can read on their device. So they just get used to seeing the test on screens. Okay. So now on that original website, there's a link for IELTS on computer, but here's a direct link, which we'll be sending to you. So this is fantastic. Okay, so some of the things you heard earlier and also in that nice little 10-tip video, I'm going to try to show you where you can find this information, where you can learn about it, but also where your students can go and learn about this. Okay, so you want to go to this link. So the page you come to, it has practice text for IELTS on computer, right? For reading, listening, and writing. And they'll also have answers. But this way, your students will feel much more confident and relaxed, and all their concerns will be answered if they actually hands-on go on the site and use these practice texts. Okay. Also, what's really amazing also is that there's a free IELTS computer familiarization test. And what that means is it's a complete test. The student just signs in, it's free, and then they can go through the entire test. They get a feeling for what it's like. This way, if they have any concerns or if they have any questions, they can then ask you beforehand. But what should be done first is the video tutorials. So there's a video tutorial for every aspect. So there's a general introduction video tutorial. Maybe it's about 5 minutes or so. I mean, all the tutorials are about 10, 13 minutes together. And sorry, and you will see, so there'll be for writing, and it'll explain exactly how it works. It'll show you, and with arrows, it'll show you how to highlight, how the writing works. As it was mentioned before, you can cut and paste, etc. Okay. So I would start with the video tutorials, and what I do is I do that in class if I have a course or if I'm one-on-one with a student to make sure that they at least watch this one time. And being that it's only about 10 or 13 minutes, we go through everything. This way, if they have a question, we can stop. I can explain further or in greater detail. And then I suggest to students on their own to watch the video tutorials a number of times until they know by heart how everything works. You don't want to come to the test and you want to use a highlight and then you have to start thinking, oh, how does that work again? Right? You just want to know how it works. So these tutorials are fantastic. Okay, so the tutorial will be for listening, reading, and writing. There's how to use the help, but hopefully you won't need that, because if if they prepare properly with these video tutorials, they won't need to go to help, but help will explain, like how can you change your screen color and some of the things that were mentioned before. You can make, the letters larger, smaller, etc., like that. Okay. There's a tutorial for how to highlight text, how to make notes, because you can make notes, which is really important. One thing people are concerned about. And also, I was mentioned before, they do get paper and pencil where they can make actual written notes if they would like. Okay, so there's also support for teachers. Right, so there's a couple of links for that. And also the British Council. So this is for teaching, and there's a lot of support there. There's useful teaching tips, preparation tips, webinars, a newsletter you can sign up with, etc. And also there's another website, IELTS for Teachers. And here it goes into everything, like all the details about IELTS that you would need to know, even with the 0 to 9 band. It explains, what the details of what each level is, which is very interesting. So I would really highly recommend that all teachers go through all of these links and really learn this yourself, because you'll be able to help your student better, and also do some of the practice tests yourself. Right. Okay. British Council also has a Future Learn. It's a course. There's a free version and also paid version. So this could be something that a student can do to supplement your teaching. Okay, and of course there's an app, right? There's an app for that. And with apps, you want to be careful, as you know, because all apps aren't created equally. So the British Council app is an app that you could really trust. It's both iOS and Android. It works on iPad or your device or your smartphone. And it has lots of, it also, it has tests and a lot of practice things and information. Okay, so just to sum up, IELTS.org, that's the official website. So for all the general information about IELTS in general, but when the student is ready or interested to register or just trying to find out dates and locations, come to our website, Swiss Exams, and give them this website, because if they just Google it, they can end up anywhere, right? So, and sometimes with some students, it even helps by doing this with them in the class, especially if you're meeting one-on-one with a student, and just help them find the site themselves, and then it'll be easy for them. Okay, then of course, our preparation material shop. Okay, and Tanya will be here in a moment, and Tanya's from Cambridge University Press, and she'll explain that to you. But first, I would just like to thank you for your time. And if you have any further questions, please contact this email address, and you can always contact me at the Cambridge Academy in Basel, and I'm happy if I can answer any of your questions. I'm happy to do that also. Okay, thank you, and I'd like to send it back to Pete and Tanya.
Ron, thank you very, my voice on, yes. Ron, thank you very much for the